Hello, people. It's Rick, the kid with the hot bars here, and we have an extremely special guest tonight. We have the First Lady of Golden Triangle Media and my favorite person on earth, Ginger Ashley. How are you doing tonight, beautiful?
Good.
Yeah, are you a little nervous to be on the show, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Anxious.
that. Anxious, yeah. It's been a while since you've been on camera, especially in any like official capacity, right?
Pretty much. Yep. Yep. I mean, that sums it up
Yeah.
for sure.
So I have a group of questions I want to talk to you about tonight because as far as the backyard wrestling scene goes, there weren't really a lot of girls that frequented these shows that weren't, I mean, mostly directly dating the wrestlers. Occasionally you would get some here and there, but for the most part, it was just us dudes. And maybe you were trying to be part of it a little bit. So we'll talk with you about it and see what your thoughts were on the community in general and backyard wrestling and all the stuff. Um, so what got you started in backyard wrestling? Like, what was the beginning?
Same thing as all the other girls, a boy.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. So it was my senior year and I was dating Kustas.
Uh-huh.
And of course, being in high school and dating somebody and they just disappear like every weekend to go do something. And you're like, what the hell are you doing? And finally, I was just like, screw it, I'll go with you and see what this is about.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so you just jumped right in and started coming, hanging out in the shows. And what was your like first opinion of what was going on?
So, being one of the indie guys and everything else, it was CCW out of Greenfield. And honestly, so part of it was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. It was comical at times. I got a lot of good laughs. But it also just looked like everybody was just enjoying themselves. Nobody
Yeah,
took
for
themselves
sure.
like nobody in that group was like taking themselves overly too serious like whenever they were getting together.
Now, were you a wrestling fan at all before this happened? Was this like your introduction to wrestling or what?
Now, I mean, like I had watched like WWE growing up as a kid here and there and stuff. Like I knew some about wrestling, but never would
Yes.
have said like I was a huge fan.
And I mean, even still now, probably not, right?
I mean, I like it a lot and I think that it's great entertainment and I enjoy it, but I wouldn't be the first person to like drop hundreds of dollars to go to shows or be like buying merch for anybody or anything like that. Like I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore super fan of it necessarily, but
Yeah.
I do still really enjoy it.
And that's what you got me for, right? Just to put it on at the right time and allow you to see Cody Rhodes tell The Rock to go fuck himself and you become a fan and go get the neck tattoo and everything. You're just ready to ride for Cody now, right?
No, but
Oh,
now
no.
I don't mind that he's in the center of my t-shirt now. For
Perfect.
sure. For sure. We are Cody fans in this house.
Absolutely. So that's what your locals were like, right? Maybe nobody took it too seriously and it was fun and a good time. When did you start finding out that there was like more than just the locals? It was maybe like a bigger community of people that like traveled to each other.
So that would be um there's wrestling in Wisconsin with Sean
And who's
Jovi.
Sean Jovi? Okay, so there
Yeah.
was this like a super show or what?
It was him doing his I think it was his like attempt at a super show or what he was trying to do as a super show and stuff. Not a lot of guys really showed up or anything else like that. I don't think it got like a huge traction or a huge audience or anything, but I remember being told about it and I remember yeah. Ended up pretty much leaving school for it. I got picked up by the group from school, hopping in their car. My dad thought I was staying the night at a friend's house. Totally dipped the state, went over to Wisconsin and hung out in Wisconsin for a couple days with Sean Jovi, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
And that was another scenario where most of the people there maybe didn't take themselves too seriously, and it was like just more of a fun get together and wrestle type of situation, right?
I think that it was a lot of fun. I think it was everybody just enjoying getting to be with each other and everything. And I think that it was cool because with that, there was so much time and there wasn't that many people. So they got to really play and mess around with so many different variations and like, okay, well, this person's going to wrestle this person and this person wants to wrestle. And like, literally everybody just wrestled with each other or against each other and they just came up with all these different scenarios and different things and like just really I think was trying to have fun and explore kind of what worked best for them and like what looked best for them and who they enjoyed wrestling with and each other's styles and stuff like that. And it was really cool to get to see and watch and hang out with.
Yeah, and if I remember the media from that show, it was a lot of everybody wrestle everybody, right? Like Sean Jovi might have had 5 matches that weekend.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was a lot of like everybody just taking turns wrestling each other. And so it was interesting for
I mean,
sure.
that's where a lot of the most fun stuff comes from, just hopping in the ring, doing stuff in the fly, trying spots out, whatever. Like, who cares? We're here to have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, it
But
was it was great.
a lot of the other super shows around that time was definitely a lot more serious than there's wrestling in Wisconsin. And nothing against Sean Jovi, he made a valiant effort, but it was hard to get a lot of the people up there. Like most of us, obviously, are centered around Midwest, Northeast, that general vicinity, and it was hard to get a lot of people, or really most anybody, to go up to Wisconsin. And I think a lot of the people that went there are maybe people that wanted to have an opportunity to have a spotlight that maybe didn't have one at like the normal Midwest shows and stuff. So I think that gave them their chance to show up and show out a little bit, to like try and be one of the people that people talk about, right?
I could see
But
that, but I think that a lot of it was also because Sean Jovi does travel to so many whenever he's invited, that it was also just like everybody had met him on the fly at other shows that did show up, and everybody's like, he's a really cool dude. So honestly, I think some of the most fun happened also just hanging out behind the scenes with him. Everybody just wanted to hang out with Sean Jovi. Like he's such a cool, chill guy.
yeah, super chill, super nice. Especially these days, he's doing big things for the current backyard wrestling community. So that's there's West wrestling in Wisconsin, but after that, you start experiencing maybe some of the more serious super shows and some of the like I don't necessarily want to say bigger shows, but more people were there, and more of the upper echelon people that people want to wrestle with are at these shows. The community essentially starting to come together at the shows that you're involved in. Uh, so how did you feel about like the general backyard wrestling community?
Mm, I think that it's cool to see. Um, a bunch of guys from like all these different areas and stuff getting together and just hanging out. Um, I definitely feel like as like a female that did go to some of those and stuff, I was definitely on the outside of a lot of that. Partially intentionally, partially just, I felt like that's just kind of where I was placed, but it was fine. Um, but it was always really interesting to see how, like, you guys could go however long without communicating or, like, seeing each other, and then get together for these shows, and you have, like, these guys just, like, gushing over each other and acting like teenage girls with each other. Sorry, but sometimes it was, like, the love there that you guys had for each other was, like, so
Yeah, it was
real,
a lot, and I
and
mean
it was a
it
lot.
still is. We just went through it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I,
So
I mean, I definitely feel that we definitely all are very big fans of each other, and a lot of us are
mhm.
pretty big fans of ourselves, and that's something that I'm sure you remember from especially our younger years. Is like there was a lot of bravado and ego of 20-something-year-old boys that were out there being 20-something-year-old boys, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it was always pretty cool to see how you guys got together. I also thought that it was nice because I mean, there was always drama between certain people. Like everybody has drama, especially in like home feds and stuff like that. But it's almost like a lot of the times whenever people got together for the big shows and stuff, like there was never really any drama because like everybody was just excited to see each other. So it seemed, at least. A lot of the times it seemed like everybody was just enjoying the show and enjoying things, and it didn't seem like it was super dramatic as far as yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, that's correct. There was always the occasional spat here and there, but for the most part, we were getting together to have fun and spending our money and using our time to do it. So nobody wanted to go in with a bad mood or to make drama. I mean, maybe some people actually did, but for the most part, I think that's a pretty fair assumption. So now you're in the community and you are now no longer with your boyfriend, and you just kind of kept coming, right? You made friends with the people.
Yeah, so I was in a situation where whenever I had started going, I had just moved to Indiana. And so I didn't really have a lot of friends anyway. So whenever I started dating and then I started going to the shows and then I started making friends and stuff, it's like once you start making friends somewhere, you kind of just keep going and then you start making more friends and then you kind of just a lot of your friends end up being in that community and in that scene, so then you just kind of fall deeper and deeper into it.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have like an inner circle, like people that you hung out with the most in these scenarios?
Yeah, I did. I loved my little inner circle. Happy Psycho was my boy. I loved him. And X-Cal and Brickles, Redneck. Those three were my boys through and through. I hung out with them all the time, especially in the early stages of everything and whatnot. Like, I adored those boys so much. They helped me with like learning moves and trying to like train and like learn spots and they would come over to my house and like just sit out back in my house and have me like practice the same move over and over for like an hour and just help me and like tell me how what I was doing and stuff like that. Brickles knew that me being a girl and a guy, filled thing, like, I wasn't gonna be able to do a lot of these moves on guys, so, like, he sat with me and worked with me on, like, submissions, and, like, we practiced all these different ones on, like, "Hey, I could do this on a bigger guy, and I could do this on a smaller guy," and, like, we spent so much time together just really trying to, like, hang out, and then, of course, that moved into real life and, like, building snowmen at the park and hanging out and, like, going out and doing crap, um
Hell yeah, that's what it's all about. So you wanted to wrestle or you were just practicing?
I w I wanted to a lot more than what I actually did. Um, but it was twofold. So like it started because I took a move at a show once because somebody wanted to kind of get pushed over as a heel, right? So I they asked me, they're like, "Hey, will you take this move?" And I was like, "Is it safe?" And they were like, "Yeah, just do this. You'll be fine. Nothing's gonna
Yeah,
happen."
we're
I'm
all
like,
untrained. Everything's safe. Don't worry about it.
"Yeah." And they were like, "It's fine." And I was like, okay, we'll try this. And so I tried it and I did it and it was so much fun and I really enjoyed it. And then I kind of just was like, okay. And somebody was like, like you could be one of the girls that we just use for like, certain moves or like certain people or whatever else. And I was like, sure, like I'm down. And I started talking about actually doing it. And the boys were like, "Well, you should really, like, sit down and watch some more wrestling, like, watch divas and see, like, hey, like, what moves do they do and stuff." And I sat down for hours and hours and hours going through, like, YouTube and just watching, like, old videos of different divas throughout the years and being like, "Hey, I could do that, and I could do that, and that looks really fucking cool, but I am not that."
Right.
Um,
A lot of us yard guys that like we kind of looked up to other yarders and tried to do what they were doing. But since that really wasn't an option for you because there weren't a lot, I mean, there were like a couple girls here and there that had a match, but there was never really any full time females in the backyard wrestling circuit, at least as far as I know. Like, I could be wrong. But like, I have quite a lot of media, and there aren't really a lot of females to be found.
The most
Um,
I could find whenever I was looking was, like, I could find a video with a chick in it for, like, a spot, kinda like how started and stuff like that, and you could find one for, like, a spot, but, like, finding female backyard wrestlers that were doing it, like, regularly and were, like, in a lot of shows and stuff like that and had movesets and stuff like that, just I couldn't find that, so I had to go to the pros.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not even sure that it really exists. I mean, like, there's a famous match between B Cubed and Steph from one of the WrestleFests that got over crazy, but there's really just not a lot. Did you have like a specific pro or two that you tried to imitate, you know?
Um, so I always liked Lita, but she's
Shocker,
yeah,
surprising.
shocker.
Nobody could
Nobody
tell
saw
you.
that coming. Uh, um, I watched a lot of Melina. And then obviously Natalia was always really cool.
Natty.
Yeah. So and there were so many other ones that I watched, but like
And then,
yeah.
so, okay, so you did all this and you're starting to learn and you're getting into it a little bit. Um, did you feel like you were welcomed, or was there like a gatekeeping situation?
So there were people that were fine with it, and there were clearly groups of people that were very not fine with it. At least that's how I felt. It very much felt like some people were very much just okay if I was there just to make them look big and bad, just to make them look cool or whatever else. And then there were other people that were there that were like, "Hey, this is pretty cool. Like if you need help, let me know and I'll try to show you a move or two or things like that." It was I think very very divided
Uh,
on kind of the response that I got going to shows and hanging out with people and doing things.
so, speaking of putting a heel over and going to shows and doing things and somebody wanting to look big and bad, we have a little bit of footage that we want to share and maybe talk about tonight that's going to be fun. But before we do that, anybody in the chat, I see quite a few of you. It'd be dope if you guys could hit the like button for us. I love that you're out here interacting. I'm going to go through at the end and click through a couple comments. We might talk about them. Um, but yeah, just hit the like button for us. I appreciate you guys being out here. Ashley is doing a fantastic job tonight. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. She was super nervous, but she is doing incredibly. Um, and speaking of her doing incredibly, we have some footage to show. So let's cue it up for you guys here. We're gonna add it to the stage. This was just another Super Show 6 in Ohio. This was the second time that you traveled to a show, right?
Yeah, I think so, outside of Indiana.
Right.
Yeah.
So you show up to Ohio for just another Super Show 6, and this is the weekend that the Awakening is forming. And the Awakening was a stable of bad guys that we're trying to get over as a stable of bad guys because for the most part, we were the guys that got cheered, and we had to figure out a way to no longer be the guys that got cheered. So we went out to start day 2, and we started beating up on some of the good guys. Um, and then this happens, and we'll just watch it first, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. You can comment as it's going if you feel the need to. Good night.
Yep. There goes my shoe.
Stay in the kitchen, I said.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
CJ, don't try to save her; she's dead. So, what do you remember about that? How did it happen? What was the order of operations that got us to this point? I'm gonna run it again in the background on silent.
So, Big Will was kind of having me um kind of part of the corporation Illuminati group, right?
Uh-huh.
And so you got Big Will down and everything else that I go in because you guys are messing with my group. And of course, there I am, just little old me. And I remember you said something. Everybody was like, "Just take a power bomb from Rick and everything." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. Like I can do that." I was not expecting Devin to get down and it to happen on his knees. That was not discussed.
So,
um,
so
that
yeah,
was
I think that that was almost on the fly. Like I think that as I was picking you up, I think Devin just went down. But I mean, I do remember beforehand thinking like, I wonder if I could get that hot chick over there to let me give her a power bomb or something. Like I need to get something out of this. So let's see if I can get her to do it. And I go up to you, I'm like, hey, how do you feel about doing a spot tonight? And you just say, yeah. And I'm like, well, hold on, let me tell you, you know, don't just say yes. You're like, no, I'm
No,
about it.
I'm
You're
like, "It's fine."
yeah, I
Yeah.
trust you. I've seen you wrestle. I'm down with it. Just what do you want to do? And I'm like, I just kind of want to power bomb the crap out of you after this match so that we can get over as like heels.
Mhm.
Absolutely, sure, no problem. And then we're out there, and like I think I waved Devin out of the way or something, and he just decides to get down and put his knees up, and I'm like, well, we're here, and you know, it's the Bubba Dudley May Young thing. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it. So I gave it to you just like I would any other dude, and oh, that sounded like a way, didn't it? Uh, so hit you with the crazy power bomb. Your shoe goes flying. Apparently, maybe some upper body parts didn't necessarily stay contained.
My
Um,
top did not do me justice that day. That's why CJ jumped in.
right.
Thank you so much for him.
We appreciate you, CJ.
Nobody else even noticed.
And so, like, what was your feeling after you took the bump? Did it suck? Was it fine? Was everything good?
Oh, no, it was great. My back popped in, like, 5 different places, and I felt great afterwards. I was like, "Damn, we should do that again." Like, that's probably one of my favorite moves that I've taken, like, in the time that I've wrestled, the one that I'm like, "Ooh, that was a lot of fun." There's one other one that distinctly comes to mind, but, like, that's definitely up there.
Yeah, and that's one that gets remembered, right? That's one that you can show people, and people are like, "Oh my goodness, that happened to you," and you're like, "Yeah," you know, like you get to be the badass about it.
I
Uh,
mean,
what's that?
I was like, I don't really feel like it was a badass thing. I literally just let you fling me.
Oh man, I see. I think it looks dope. I think it makes you look tough. But but either way, so like that started a lifelong thing for us, right? Because here we are, 15 years later, or however many years, and you're wearing my T-shirt, so it must have gone right in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it did.
so that was the night that started it all for us and for the Awakening. Crazy spot. I've shown it to quite a few people just to be like, look at this thing that I did once. Um, so in that moment, you're kind of one of the boys, right? You're in there, you're performing, you took a bump. You're like kind of in on it, and the pop's crazy, right? You got to get like charged up whenever you get a crazy pop like that. Um, so like you were actually part of the crew. Now, most of the girls that show up to these shows were not necessarily there to be part of the crew. And if they weren't someone's significant other, they were normally a what?
Oh, our lovely ring rat term.
Right.
We
So,
gotta love that one. Yeah.
so I think that like it came from shoot interviews and the old workers that used to go out and find girls in every city that they were in started using that term. And of course, us backyard wrestlers who thought that we were professional wrestlers start using the term. And honestly, like being a ring rat for a backyard wrestling community is it definitely puts you somewhere on the totem pole of life. How did you feel about like girls at shows, like other girls?
I didn't care about other girls at shows really. Like, there were a few that I got along with. There was a few girlfriends that came and gone, that I really, really liked. But I also think that there was always with the females around wrestling, especially the girlfriends and everything else, there was always this thing because, like, they know that there is that possibility that those girls are just hanging around there to try to get with whatever guy. And so it was hard too because while you could find a girl to like kind of bond with and stuff in a group that didn't have a lot of girls, there was also a lot of mistrust among the girls that were at shows because like girls know how 20-year-old boys are. And girls
Absolutely.
know how they are, if you see a cute guy that's going around doing everything. So like it was weird dynamics and stuff, but I mean, it just kind of was part of it. I kind of had my group that I liked and that I like to talk to and that I trust, and I really didn't give a crap what else anybody else had to say about me. I mean, because I was labeled a ring rat for a while. Like that was the thing that I got because I dated multiple guys in the scene throughout the years. So like it just is what it is.
Yeah, and so you kind of got grouped in with that. Did it ever make you feel any type of way? Like, did you feel that, like maybe distrust of the community or scared of them or anything like that at any time?
So for me, the ring rat label I didn't necessarily mind because I knew my truth. I know my truth. The people who get to know me very well and know that. And I think that it's natural that whenever you're in a community of people, in a group of people, you're gonna date the people that you're around. If you're
Yeah, absolutely.
constantly in the same group of people, you're gonna constantly date within whatever group that is. And so like I felt like that was normal. It's whatever people are being stupid and petty, but it did come to a point like, there's one spot that I remember specifically at a show that, like, there were times that I felt unsafe because there were some men in the community that would hear that label or hear something and think that they could automatically get something. Like, I remember that there was a specific show, and it was getting late, and everybody was hanging out. I think it was one of maybe 2 females in this group, and there's tons of guys, and I remember a group of guys just like huddling around me. And like I felt completely trapped in this circle of guys. And
Like
there
you were thinking the
was,
worst.
yeah, I'm thinking the worst. And then one or two of them starts trying to touch me. And I'm like, I have to get out of here. I have to figure this out. And luckily, a couple of the guys that I was there with, got me because we were leaving. We were going to go get food and everything else, and got me in a position where I felt safe. But, like, there were moments as a female in a very large group of guys that I always I always had to be aware. Like, and I hate to say it like this too, but, like, everybody's perception of something in the situation and what's going to happen goes through your own lens of, like, reality. And so there were times for me that, like, I knew if I could play ditzy, if I could play dumb, if I could pretend like I was way more plastered from a drink than what I really was, or if I could be overly flirty with one particular person so that other people would leave me alone. Like, I kind of learned how to maneuver and manipulate through things to keep the people that I didn't trust away and keep the people that I did trust close.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. And in that scenario, you found a group of people that you trusted enough that made you still feel comfortable going to these shows, right?
yeah, oh yeah, like I had in Chicago, like Joe and Jason Witzel, um, those 2 from Illinois, those were my ride or die out there. That I knew, like, if I was in Illinois, those 2 had my back. Like, Ohio, I remember Caleb and Levi and Troy and them, like, they came and picked me up for a show, and they came and got me with Devin. And I went to multiple shows with Devin, and Devin was always one of those people that, like, had seemed like he has a personality where sometimes I questioned whether he was just a complete douchebag and absolutely hated my guts, but then at the same time, something happened or, like, we were going to a show or together or anything else like that, he always seemed to, like, have my back, and so I always felt really safe in that group too. And then obviously I had a few of my indie guys that, just I always felt safe with. And, you just kind of learn who you can trust and who not to.
Yeah, and especially whenever a couple of your inner circle, like they might not have been the most protective type of dudes, maybe like not outgoing and tough guy types, but they're big as hell. I mean, Happy Psycho and Excal, I don't think anybody was going to try and split those two to get into you. You know what I mean? So, like, you
Yeah.
had a nice little entourage of people that made sure that you were cool. And after a while, I became one of those guys, right? You came out to Pittsburgh for a super show. Do you have any memories about Abyss?
Oh, yeah. Um,
Oh, yeah?
yeah. Abyss was great. It was really fun to come out to that show because so many, like, I had gotten to meet a handful of, like, guys here and there and stuff like that. Like, Matt Nix, I'd met at other shows. Alex Olson, I'd met at other shows. Like, Folkland had been at other shows and, like, everything else. But to kind of see, like, so many of these different people and from so many different places, like, all together that I had seen and that I was like, "Oh, like, they're really cool to watch." I enjoy, like, watching them wrestle. All in kind of one spot wrestling together was a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah, that
and
was
then
definitely something I prided myself on for the Pittsburgh shows was being able to get all these dudes, like just all these very specific people from all over the place that were willing to come here and wrestle. And it was like Pittsburgh was kind of like the central hub. Like we could get Northeast, South, Midwest, we could get everybody to come together out here. So whenever you came to a Pittsburgh show, most of the time it was an experience unlike pretty much anywhere else that you would go in backyard wrestling at the time.
yeah, Pittsburgh was actually the farthest that way that I had went. So, it's
And if you look at the pictures of Abyss and all the videos, you see you in the background, maybe or maybe not wearing my hat. That is completely unfounded information. Um, but
mhm.
throughout that weekend, I remember we had a blast. It was a good time. You kind of nursed me back to health after B Cube destroyed my lip a little bit. Uh, Abyss was a whole lot of
Yeah.
fun. And if I remember correctly, I mean, you probably felt completely safe there, right? Like you hung out with us most of the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had honestly, like, all of the guys that I was super chill with were there, and I rode up there with Devin and Happy and XCal, and, like, I was completely chill. Now the ride home hitting a deer wasn't fun, but
You guys hit a deer on the ride home.
yeah, we hit a deer on the ride home from that show. It was
Did it
not fun.
explode? What happened? I didn't hear this story before. What happened?
Um, I don't even completely know because I had fallen. I was asleep. I had crashed because I did not sleep much being there that show. Me and you hung out like the whole time and everything else, and I was hanging out. So I did not sleep a whole lot. And we were on our way back, and I'm crashed out in the back, and all of a sudden we hit something, and we're on the side of the road, and the front part of the car is all messed up, and it's not going to start. We have to call a tow truck and wait around and figure out getting back. It was,
So you were sleeping when it happened?
yeah, I was. I was
Did you
crashed
feel
out.
it? Did you hear something? Like what was that like?
The hearing, like the hitting something and the cussing and the oh shit and pulling over was, yeah, my indicator to
Uh,
wake up.
yep. But eventually you guys found your way back home.
Yeah.
So you went to very few super shows, weren't at a whole lot of them. Is there any specific like matches or wrestlers that you remember like watching and being a fan of?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um,
Yeah?
hey, look, I'm thinking.
You're good.
I don't know. There's so many that I'd see, and I think that an easy answer would be like I always watching Zayn. I
Uh-huh.
think
Yeah.
Zayn always put on a good show, had a good match. He was really cool to watch. Um, honestly, anytime I was at a show and Alex Olson was wrestling, I liked watching him wrestle.
You got to.
He gets around like so fast.
Absolutely.
And it was always entertaining because a lot of the group that I hung out with was a lot of, like, bulkier, big dudes that were, like, doing big moves, and, like, seeing this dude, like,
Take
fu
them.
take off
Yeah.
and, like, just it was crazy because it was so different in comparison to what I was seeing a lot of the time, and so I always thought it was cool to watch him.
Yeah, I probably threw 50 or so of my finishers, the Hatchet Trapper 2. I probably threw 50, maybe more. I don't know, maybe less. But conservatively, I'd say 50. Nobody ever bumped it the way Alex Olson bumped it, man. He flung himself the other direction completely, went on an angle this way, twisted over his own head, and landed on his face. And I was like, bro, you're going to get yourself hurt out here. No, man, I'm fine. I'm good. Was it good? Did I do good? Like, yes, you did great. You're terrifying. You're a little
Yeah.
insane, but I'm down with it. I ride. And like at I believe at Abyss, I had him booked against TKO, and that match went crazy. But yeah, Alex Olson's always that dude, man. I love Alex Olson. Especially even just at this at our reunion show we had last year. He was great. He was fantastic. Stole the show in the Survivor Series match. Ended up beating everybody and being the sole survivor for Team World. Gotta love Alex Olson. If I remember correctly, you also liked watching yourself some Folkland matches from time to time, and maybe some pen name matches too, right?
Yeah. Pin name, I enjoy that. That's probably one of my second favorite moves that I took. So, wrestling with the pen name was fun because he was always crazy and did absolute insane crap. You never knew what he was gonna do. He had no problem gigging or flipping off of something absolutely ridiculous that he had no business doing, but he did it anyway. And
Yeah.
CCW had, like, this one small show with, like, the Anderson guys and a handful of people from different places, and they were just looking for a little spot. He was like, I don't wanna do a big match. I don't wanna do anything like that." And they were like, "Okay, so what are you gonna do?" And he's just like, "Me and you." He was like, "We'll wrestle." And I'm like, "Excuse me? What?"
Hell yeah.
And, I remember he was like, I'm gonna spear you." He was like, "I have to." He was like, It's gonna happen." And so, taking a spear from the pin in was pretty cool because he did not hold back.
Now, I would love to say that we have more of this media to show that our viewers and stuff, but there was a time where you decided to like remove yourself from the community completely, and in
Yeah.
that time, you like went around requesting your videos be taken down.
Yeah, I kind of had a moment where, life stuff had happened and decisions were made, and I decided to go around and start asking people to remove all of the videos that they had of me. Um, and apparently they did.
Yeah, right. They
Well,
listened.
everybody except for, the
Me.
Ohio show.
Well, see, this came from my hard drive, but either way, I probably wouldn't have listened at the time
Yeah,
because I'm stubborn.
yeah.
But
So,
so we don't have anything else to really watch. You don't have anything in the archives or anything like that.
no, no.
We were
Think
looking for CCW. That was the name of the Fed, right? CCW.
Yeah, CCW. Anthony Lee pretty much ran it. Anthony Lee, Zach Cass, all those guys.
We were looking for that on YouTube, but it looks like that channel is mostly gone. So that's a little unfortunate. But I mean, if we ever get anything that we're able to watch, maybe me and you will sit down and just have a watch along or something of just like a whole match and see how it goes. Um, but yeah, so I mean, that's your story, right? That's as quick as we could possibly tell it. I mean, I'm sure if we decided to draw it out, we could go for days. Um, but yeah, that's who you are. That's what you were in the community. That's how you remember it. We have a couple people in the chat here. We're gonna put them up on screen real quick, just because it's nice to do. Eric Engel, my boy Airborne, what up, homie? Uh, the man Angry, Angry from the Discord. We got we got Mike Wonder in here saying teenage girls, LOL. Oh no, that's Angry. Mike Wonder, Big Jovi. We got Chris Frank asking, "What is a ginger Ashley?" I think that's a very difficult question.
Yeah, I can't answer that one.
Eric Engel is a teenage girl for Chris Frank, and at the end of the day, I think most of us are. Um, Mike Wonder, first time I met Devin and Snow in real life, they kissed, so I can confirm.
That
Um,
sounds very accurate.
yeah, right. Our homie BSW 3.0. I may be a little late. He came in a little late. That's cool. Restarted the show. Mike Wonder, power bomb, power bomb. Awakening is goated. That's very true. Mike Wonder says that made us a baby face. I don't know about that. Uh, BSW, she
Yeah,
took
I
that.
did.
What the shit? Yeah, she
Yeah, I
did
did.
take that. Y'all are ruthless. Absolutely true. Um, Mike Wonder says that the base was terrible, so it was probably pretty much better that you ended up on the knees.
I mean, that might be true.
It was
Yeah.
kind of a death trap. It was just a couple mattresses, and eventually they added a nice canvas to the top of it that made it really nice. But for the most part, I mean, the SWC base wasn't too much better. We got Eric Engel in the chat dropping a rat. You gotta love that. Purely speculation though. And Devin must have told Mike Wonder about the the
Deer?
deer explosion incident.
Yeah, that was fun.
Hatchet Trevor 2 mentioned, and Angry start a vote, kick Mike Wonder. Yeah, you know what? Two people give at least I give the eye on that. How do you feel, Ashley?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. So that's two of Mike
Yeah,
Wonder gets
yeah,
the
yeah.
kick. He wants to say that Chris Frank still uses the internet. Yeah, Chris Frank's on the internet more than you, homie. Um, but yeah, I mean, great show tonight. I know you started out a little nervous, but we had a lot of fun. You got to tell your story in speed run form. How'd you feel about it? Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I'm just responding to questions. Me and you talk about this crap all the time, so it's
Exactly,
easy.
right. So it'd be
It's
no different on camera. It just had to get a
yeah,
little bit of those jitters out of the way.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, you are positively beautiful and stunning and gorgeous and ridiculously hot. So you will bring people to click on this channel anytime that I put your face up there. So I'm going to try to talk you into doing something else again in the future, even if maybe we just watch a little bit of Abyss and talk about it. Um,
You're
but
just saying that
there,
because I'm wearing your shirt.
I mean, I do need you to wear my shirt all the time. I do need that in my life. But there are people in the chat right now that we might get on an episode again. We have plenty of ideas for this going forward. I will be doing something with Rad Hazard that we're eventually going to announce, but that's going to be a whole deal.
I'm a Rad
Um,
fan.
yeah, definitely a fan. Everybody, Chris Frank can internet. He's absolutely not kidnapped, though. Like, no matter what his face looks like, he's not kidnapped. Um, Definitely going to be doing some with Rad. And just this afternoon, I received 150 digital videotapes from Jonah Block of every full show that BYE ever had, start to finish. A little bit of WrestleFest 3, but we have BYG 2 through 5 in full. We have a little Backyard Fest 8 slash VCW versus the world. We have so many things, 150 tapes. Like, I think almost half of it is probably XWA full shows. So I have a whole lot of Firewire transferring to do. Golden Triangle Media is about to be absolutely loaded up with backyard wrestling footage. So if you see us dropping a whole bunch of stuff, just mind your business. Like, it's coming. I can't worry about the clicks whenever I have this much stuff that I have to get out there. So slow playing it might not be the move in general. So just get ready to watch a whole bunch of shit. A lot of it's dangerous, a lot of it's fun, and it's all the memories that are the Backyard Wrestling Link and GBYWN community. Um, so there's a lot on already and a lot more on the way, and it's going to be a very good time to be subscribed to this channel. So, Ashley, thank you for coming on tonight.
You're welcome. Anytime.
And with that, we'll hit them with Golden Triangle Media out.